ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारस्त्वन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। सदाशिवसमारम्भां अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Page number 8. अमानित्वमदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचम् स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहङ्कार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम्। असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जनसंसदि अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम् तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम् एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम् अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा. Coming back to the first verse, we discussed amanitvam, that is absence of pride, meaning humility. Adambhitvam, absence of pretentiousness, absence of hypocrisy, absence of deception, cheating. Ahimsa, non-violence. Now we come to the next value, which is kshantihi, or a more familiar word is kshama. Word kshanti and kshama are derived from the same root ksham, in the sense of forbearance. So kshama means forbearance or forgiveness. So when we hear the word forbearance, it is the idea of putting up with something when our feelings are hurt on account of the behavior of somebody. We think the kshama of forgiveness is not to retaliate, not to show a reaction. So very often this kshama or forgiveness is associated with external response. But it's possible that even though outwardly we do not retaliate, we do not react, inwardly we may be nursing a hurt. Inwardly there may be a resentment. Inwardly there may be an anger. I do not express that anger. I do not express the resentment. I swallow the pain. But that is not kshama, that is not forgiveness. Forgiveness is when internally also the reaction does not come, or if the reaction comes, I am able to resolve it. Therefore, our Pujya Swamiji likes to interpret this word kshama or kshanti as accommodation or glad acceptance. Glad acceptance of another person. The question of forgiveness comes in reference to our relationship with other people. And we are constantly related to someone or something. And in every relationship, this kshama of forgiveness becomes a very important factor to sustain that relationship, to smoothen the relationship, to create a harmony between those who are relating to each other, to be able to enjoy the relationship. Understand that to have a relationship, it can be between spouses, between friends, parents and children, between siblings, teacher and student, between colleagues, boss and subordinate. Number of kinds of relationships are there. And it is a privilege that we are able to have these relationships. Because a healthy relationship is a source of great joy or satisfaction. And it is said that some 80% of our happiness comes from relationships. The rest of the 20% happiness comes from all the gadgets and so entertainment and stuff like that. But 80%, a major part of our happiness comes from relationship. Therefore, every relationship is very valuable. Every relationship. It may be with a servant. There is no such thing as servant here, but it may be with the maid servant, with the doorman, with whoever it is. Every relationship is very important. And this kshama or forgiveness is an attitude or a value most required in every relationship for a smooth or harmonious relationship. What is meant by kshama or forgiveness is to be able to accept the other person as the person is. We know that everyone is a combination of virtue and limitations. Nobody that is born is perfect. Nobody that is born is without virtue also, and then nobody that is born is without defects also. That's how creation is. Therefore, when two persons relate to each other, then you relate to the whole person, not just part of the person, including the defects or shortcomings of that person. You have no difficulty in relating to the person as far as the virtues or good qualities of that person are concerned. The difficulty comes when we have to relate to that person as in terms of the shortcomings or defects as we perceive them. Thus, accepting the dosha means defect, shortcoming, something negative, something that I normally do not like, that's meaning that the other person with whom I am related is likely to have some characteristics or something which I do not like, which I do not approve of. Then what do? Do I reject the person? No. I accept even those shortcomings or defects or things that I do not like as a reality. Graceful acceptance or glad acceptance. Not with a grudge, not with a resentment. I don't accept them as though I'm obliging them. I gladly or gracefully accept the shortcomings, the limitations, the defects of the other person, recognizing that it is a reality. The other person also has no choice in not having them because we are born with those things. Everybody brings a certain nature with them which is brought from the past karma, and so we have it by our birth. Each one of us may be trying to change ourselves to improve, but regardless of what we do, there are still going to be certain things in me that somebody else may not like. And by the same token, there is things in the other person which I may not like. Then this kshama of forgiveness is required on the part of both the persons. accepting gracefully or gladly accepting the defects or shortcomings of the other person. Normally what happens in a relationship, each one demands that the other person should change. The other person should change to make me happy. I demand, other person also demands. That's how there is a conflict. But if the approach is that I change for the other person is also an approach that person also changes for my sake, that would be a very wonderful process. That I continue to like the person or love the person in spite of things that I do not like, accepting that this is what the reality is. There's nothing that the other person can do. That's how the nose is. What can you do? That's how the ears are. That's how the color of the skin is. That's how whatever it is, that's what it is. Including some aspects of nature. So thus, accepting or accommodating the defects or limitations or shortcomings of the person with whom I am related is called Kshama. When no reaction is there in my mind. And that requires that I should reduce as much as possible my expectation of the other person. What creates a conflict in any relationship is the expectation that we have of the other person. The other person similarly have expectation of me, and sometimes we do try to satisfy or fulfill their expectation, but we may or may not be able to do that. Sometimes we may not be able to fulfill the expectations. Then I should recognize the other person is the limitation. And I recognize it. I can help the other person change, but I cannot demand that they should change for me. The thing is, if you do not demand, the other person may be motivated to change. Understand? If you make a demand, the other person also may make a demand in turn. If you do not make a demand, and if you accept something, I think that message is conveyed. Other person understands that he is the person who is large-hearted to accept this limitation of mine. So ideally, Kshama is not simply a negative quality, but it's a positive quality wherein some kindness and compassion also are involved. You have all heard the name of Mahatma Gandhi. Once he was traveling and he insisted upon traveling in third class those days, common class, cattle class. So trains are crowded. There are many passengers on his berth and the berths opposite to him. So once when Gandhiji was traveling like that, there was another passenger across him in an opposite berth, coming from a village, not very cultured. And perhaps that person was suffering from cold. And so phlegm would come out from time to time. And as they do there, you would just spit right there on the floor of the train. Gandhiji was a stickler as far as the hygiene and cleanliness is concerned. You know what he did? He was reading a newspaper. He tore a piece of the newspaper, cleaned that, and threw it out. When he did that, somehow the other fellow became angry. He said, who is this person doing this? He did it again. He spat again. Without any reaction, Gandhi tore off another piece of paper. This happened a number of times. Finally, the station came Gorakhpur. that was the last station of the train, and they got down, and then this man saw hundreds of people had come to receive Mahatma Gandhi with all kinds of garlands, and then he realized what a great person he was. He realized what he had done. He fell at the feet of Mahatma Gandhi and said, "I am very sorry for what I have done." This Gandhi was the Baniya means a good businessman. He knew how to extract the price. He says, "Well, if you really regret for what you have done, take a vow that you will not do this again. And when you travel, if somebody else does it, you will clean it." But how? By his very kind and compassionate behavior, Gandhiji was able to transform that person. So this kindness or compassion, which is what Kshama or forgiveness calls for, can transform the people. One way to respond to the person with whom we are related is, in our Swamiji's words, a two-step response. Respond to not the behavior, but the person behind the behavior. The behavior of a person is hurtful, maybe aggressive, maybe rude, and therefore you have all the reason to get angry. You have reason to get angry. And you also are able to, you are strong enough to retaliate. But then you have value for not retaliating. You have value for compassion. So what do? Not one-step response, a two-step response. One-step response would be to react and retaliate, as often people do. Two-step response is to step back and respond to not the behavior, but the person behind the behavior. I ask myself, what makes this person behave in this manner? Why does this person behave in an insulting manner, in a hurtful manner? What makes that person do this? If I think of this, I will find out that that person also is in pain. A person also is hurt. Meaning that the person who hurts others is invariably a hurt person. A happy person can never hurt anybody. Happy person will make others happy. Who will be angry? Who will be rude? Who will be insulting? Who will be hurting? The person who is suffering from pain, from some hurt. But Swami, I have not caused the hurt. You haven't caused the hurt. Somebody has caused the hurt, but that person has it. And not knowing how to deal with that pain, it comes out. You happen to be there, and therefore you became the object of his release of pain. So outwardly the person appears to be aggressive. Inwardly he is a hurt, person in pain, maybe insecure person. When you see that, then the sympathy will be aroused in your heart. And that sympathy will enable us to show the forgiveness. Forgiveness or kshama should come from a genuine sympathy, not in words, I forgive you. I have forgiven Swami. Forgive and forget. It's not that easy. We cannot forgive unless there is that sympathy or compassion which arises in our heart when we appreciate the pain that that person has. So respond to the person behind the behavior. This is what is expected in Kshama. So two things. In any relationship, we should try to minimize expectations as much as we can, because we get hurt when our expectations are not met with. Most of our pain comes from frustrated expectations. Therefore, minimize expectations. Number one. And number two, when the behavior of the other person is hurtful, a two-step response. Step back and see in the mind what makes this person behave in this manner. Discover a genuine sympathy about that person. Then the Kshama of forgiveness will be possible. This is very important. Otherwise, people just simply throw away the relationship now. I don't care. We need space. You go your way, I go my way. That's easy. But that means you have lost one relationship. Some very precious thing you lost. You may have to do it sometimes. It's possible, that things may be so bad that you just cannot put up with them, and that's all right. Not that you cannot create a distance in relationship. That's not the point. But do not sacrifice a relationship just because our expectations are not met with, etc. So Kshama, forgiveness means glad acceptance of the other person, is a very important quality, very important value. Kshanti. So ahimsa and kshanti, non-violence and forgiveness. These two qualities, if we cultivate consciously with great effort, every value requires us to be conscious. Oh, it's my own phone. Look at that. I was wondering, I said, whose phone is this, Okay. We can practice a value only when we are alert. Meaning that when the time comes to practice this value, we must be there. Our mind must be there. Very often we have value for being kind, value for not hurting. But when the time comes, I forget that. Whenever I am overcome by any of my impulses, such as anger, such as jealousy, at that time, all my resolves, they are nowhere to be found. All my wisdom, all my knowledge, all my resolves, none of them is available to me if I get controlled by an impulse. Thus we have to be very watchful of our minds, not get controlled by impulses, and be alert and conscious when the time comes for practicing that value. So, non-violence requires that. Forgiveness also requires that. Our Swamiji says that if these two values are cultivated, you become a saint. For becoming a saint, you need not even have knowledge of scriptures. If you have, it's wonderful. But these two qualities make a person a saint. But both these qualities require a lot of letting go. You can call it sacrifice or letting go. You have to let go of our expectations, of our demands. We have to control our reactions. And that is very conducive for self-control and self-growth. Thus, we grow in our inner maturity, inner purity. And that's how we proceed in the direction, move of becoming a saintly person. Then you're a happy person. We said yesterday that not only do we require the means of pleasure, we require the capacity to enjoy that pleasure. And this mind has the capacity to enjoy what is. And the mind is able to enjoy what is. You don't need anything special because what is enough. So ahimsa and kshanti. Ahimsa, kshanti, arjavam. Next quality is arjavam. Straightforwardness. What is straightforwardness? Ruju bhavaha. Like a straightforward rope. There is a straightforwardness or alignment between the thought, the word and the deed. This will be called arjavam, straightforwardness. What is in my thought is in the words. What is the words? In the deed. Manasyekam, vachasyekam, karmanyekam, mahatmana. One saying says that they are called Mahatmas, they are called the great soul people in whom there is an alignment between the thought, the word and the deed. Meaning, what you say should be in keeping with what you believe to be true, and what you do is in keeping with what you say. This is arjavam. This is straightforwardness. This is honesty. This is truthfulness. Again, what comes in the way of doing this? We love this. What comes in the way? Our temptations, our greed, our anger. These impulses are those which come in the way of practicing every value. So ultimately, for practicing these values, we will have to recognize these impulses in our mind, such as anger, such as greed, such as jealousy. All these negative temptation impulses are there. Whenever they take hold of our mind, we find that we violate a value. So it's the greed that prevents me from being an honest person. When it comes to declaring before a customs officer what I am bringing with me from abroad is my greed that comes in the way. I just tell a lie, I say I have nothing to declare and I walk away. I may save a lot of money by way of duties, but I know that what I have done is wrong. There is no straightforwardness between my thought and my word and my action. And what it does is, it creates a damage in me. It creates a split within me. Because the thought thinker also I am, the word speaker also I am, and deed actor also I am, doer also I am. There is one I that thinks, the same I talks, the same I does. When I think one way and do another way, then there is a doer and thinker split, isn't it? That creates a conflict. And if I do not pay attention and keep doing things that is convenient to me, I keep violating this value of honesty because of my greed, because of temptations. That split becomes wider and wider. There is a split in my personality. And there is a constant conflict. Meaning, I cannot be, in Swamiji's words, I cannot be together as a person. I'm a split person, a splintered person, a scattered person. My mind is scattered or splintered. It is possible that by sacrificing honesty, I may get away with some material gains. It may be in terms of money, it may be in terms of position, it may be in terms of recognition, whatever. But within me, there is a split. Swamiji, do you know something? This is what you keep telling me. That there is a conflict. There is nothing, there is no conflict. There are people who tell lies without any conflict at all. There are people who cold-blooded carry out cold-blooded murder and there is no conflict. They are happy that they did this. How do you explain that? You keep repeating that every time you violate a value, there is a conflict. But that conflict or guilt, is it good or not good? It is good to have that. If I do not have guilt, do not have conflict, on account of what I do, you know what I have become? I have become an animal. See, as human beings, we have this twofold awareness. That I want to be treated in a certain, I want to be happy, I want to live and live happily. And I know that others also want to live and live happily. I am conscious of what I want, I am conscious of what others also want from me. A cat does not seem to have this two-way consciousness. A cat knows that it does not want to be hurt, but does not seem to know that the mouse doesn't want to be hurt. Therefore, when a cat makes a mouse its breakfast, there is no sense of guilt, no conflict. Would it not be good? If by hurting somebody or by sacrificing my honesty or truthfulness, if no guilt arises in me, means that I have fallen to the category of a cat. This happens by repeatedly abusing the free will. See, cat does not have a free will. It is a programmed creature. That being the case, what is its food is determined for that, and therefore there is no conflict there. That is its level of evolution. There is no self-consciousness. It is not sensitive enough to have a conflict. Not sensitive enough to have a guilt. Guilt can be only in a sensitive person. Conflict can be in a sensitive person. Sensitivity is what we call evolution, growth. But if we repeatedly abuse our free will, slowly and slowly we lose that sensitivity, and a time comes when we don't feel wrong, nothing wrong at all. Even when we do something wrong, we don't feel anything, which means that we have gone down in the level of, in the evolution. Next birth, I'm sure you're born as a cat or as some kind of a thing, which doesn't have any guilt, doesn't have any conflict. Means I have to rise all the way again. Understand that because we are given a free will, we are given a great responsibility. We are given the freedom to make choice, but then it is my responsibility to make the right choice. If I deliberately make the wrong choice, then I lose that freedom to choose next time. Therefore, not having guilt is not a good thing. Guilt is good. Good in the sense that it tells me that I have done something, I have violated something, I should correct myself. The conflict tells me that I have done something wrong, I need to correct. And therefore, in any conscientious person, a conflict or a guilt will arise. The thinker and the doer and the talker, they are all in different directions, and therefore the person gets splintered, scattered. Not together the person. So while he is eating, his mind somewhere else, his speech somewhere else. Music is going on. The music may be falling on his ears, but his mind in some other place. Because these three are not accustomed to be together. Meaning that this person is never together, cannot enjoy anything that there is. Understand that? So it's a big price that we are paying. The price that we pay by violating value is a very big price. Therefore, every value should become valuable to us. Then only we can practice that. This honesty, arjavam, is a very important value. It also includes speaking truth. Not confined to, but includes speaking truth. Satyam or truthfulness also is considered extremely important in our scriptures. Indian currency note Satyameva Jayate, meaning truth alone wins. The second part says Nanrutam, the falsehood never wins. Satyan lagnyas tapasa hesh atma. The atma can be gained only by the truth and by austerity, by penance. Thus, to gain the spiritual knowledge, Satyam or the truth is the very foundation. As I said, even to enjoy our day-to-day life, these values are very important. Satyameva jayate nanutam. Satyena pantaha vitato devayanaha. By truthfulness, you proceed along the path of the gods and reach your destination. So Satyam, truthfulness. I'll just make one little remark about truthfulness. The famous statement is Satyam vada, Priyam vada. Swamiji, when I speak the truth, sometimes people are feeling that hurt when I speak the truth, and then we are told that do speak the truth, but speak in such a manner that it does not hurt others. Satyam vada, Priyam vada. Speak truth also in a pleasant manner. Let there be value not only for truthfulness, but then for pleasantness. Jihva me madhumattama. May my jihva, may my tongue, may my speech be madhumattama, may be as sweet as honey. So let that also be a value for sweetness of the tongue. Truthfulness in the words as well as sweetness of the tongue. Meaning that while even we have a commitment to speak the truth, at the same time we should also be sensitive to the feelings and emotions of the other person. Taking that into account, you must speak whatever you want to speak. You need not speak the truth, understand. There is no command that you have to speak truth. If you choose to speak, you can choose not to speak, understand. If you choose to speak, you must speak truth. If you think that you cannot speak truth, keep quiet. But if you choose to speak, must be truth. Must be as pleasant as you can make it, as palatable as you can make it. Satyam vada, Priyam vada. Satyam bruyat, Priyam bruyat, na bruyat, Satyam apriyam. Says that if Satyam or truth also is apriyam, unpleasant, may you not speak that. Priyam chananjatam bruyat. Swami, okay, you said that I should speak that which is pleasant. Good. Suppose falsehood is pleasant. Can I say speak that? Says, no. Priyam chananjatam bruyat. Just because there is priyam or pleasant. No, don't speak untruth. Esha dharma sanatana. This is sanatana dharma. This is the eternal dharma. So arjavam, truthfulness, honesty, straightforwardness, and alignment within my personality, between the thought, the word, and the deed. Continuing, Acharya Upasanam. The next line says, Acharya Upasanam. Service of the teacher, Upasanam. Upasana means meditation, really. Acharya Upasanam means meditation upon Acharya. Acharya means teacher. Who is called Acharya, you know? Hitopadeshta Acharya. Who is Acharya? Hitopadeshta. One who gives the Upadesha, or one who teaches about that which is hitam, which is beneficial to you. What is the most beneficial to you or to me? Moksha is the most beneficial. That's what we are seeking. Therefore, one who imparts the teaching of the knowledge which is means of moksha is the best Acharya. Means our Guru. Also sometimes called Sadguru. Any teacher can be called Guru. Kukarasthandakaro rukarasthannivartaka. The letter Gu stands for darkness, that is ignorance. Letter Ru stands for that which dispels the ignorance. Andhakar nirodhitvat Guru Nitya Vidiyate. That person is called Guru because he dispels the darkness of ignorance in the heart of his disciple. But Sadguru, so therefore they add an adjective Sadguru. He is the Guru, the teacher, who imparts the teaching or imparts the knowledge of Sat or truth or reality. And in the context of these verses, this is what is meant. Acharya or the Guru, the teacher who imparts the knowledge, which is a means, self-knowledge, which is a means of moksha. Acharya Upasanam, meditation upon this teacher or service to the teacher. That's a value. Swamiji looks like these teachers have created, added this value. So that's how you can exploit your disciples, isn't it? It's very convenient for teacher that they demand that the disciples should serve them. The point is, if there is a teacher who requires to be served, then he is not the right teacher. Who demands to be served? Requirement is a different thing. It is best to serve someone who does not demand that service. In that case, the person who is serving will be blessed. Otherwise, if teacher has a need, it is likely that he can perhaps use the disciple also to fulfill his own agenda. Who is a teacher who does not have a personal agenda? Then you are safe. In serving a teacher like that, you are safe that you will not be taken advantage of. You will not be exploited. Acharya Upasanam, serving the teacher. You see, in the Vedic culture, the teacher is placed on a very high pedestal. Sometimes the teacher is placed on a pedestal higher than Ishvara. It's a matter of emotion on the part of the disciple. But there is a couplet attributed to the famous saint Kabir, who says, Guru Govinda dono khade, kako lagu paye. He says that Guru, the teacher, and Govinda, the Lord, both of them are standing in front of me. Kako lagu paye. Who should I first salute? Should I salute my Guru first or God first? Then he says, Valihari Guru Apake, Govinda Diyo Dikhai. He says, no, my Guru comes first. But had he not been there, I would not have recognized God anyway. So who is the Guru? Who enables us to recognize God. God is always there. It's a matter of recognizing Him. Because Vedanta says, what is this God? What is this Ishvara? Our Swamiji says, you don't need to have Shraddha or faith in Ishvara. You need to understand Ishvara. And Guru provides understanding, that knowledge. So this disciple says that I think that my teacher is superior to God because he is the one who pointed out the God to me. This is called arthavad, it's called praising. But this is the kind of, importance or a status that a guru enjoys in the Vedic tradition. And serving the teacher means doing whatever is necessary for the teacher. See, in the olden days, the disciples were called Antevasis. They used to live with the teacher. If you study the Upanishads, then you find that generally the aspirant goes to a teacher and requests for the knowledge. And then teacher imparts the knowledge. It is said that usually it is required to stay with the teacher for a period of at least 12 years. That was considered to be a time sufficient or required for gaining and maturity of the knowledge. So you live with the teacher 12 years, that's a relationship. That also can be very problematic. Any relationship can be very problematic. Any relationship can be very rewarding or it can be problematic. So Vijay on the first day recited that prayer. Sahana bhavatu, sahano bhunaktu. This prayer is traditionally recited by both the teacher as well as the disciple. Sahana avatu. May the Lord protect us both. Both means what? The teacher and the disciple. Sahano bhunaktu. May He nourish us both. May He protect us both from ignorance. Nourish us both with knowledge. Sahviryam karvavahe. May we both exert together. May we get that strength that comes from the knowledge. Or may we display the strength required for the knowledge. Tejasvenu adhitamastu. May our adhitam, may our study become tejasvi, become brilliant. Ma vidvishavahai. May we not cavil at each other. May we not hate each other. Who says teacher and disciple? How can that be? It's a very funny thing. It's a very funny prayer, is it not? When the teacher and disciples, they say, may we not cavil at each other, may we not hate each other. Because when you live together, the possibility of hating always arises. A misunderstanding can easily develop. It develops between the teacher and the students also. When the teacher is like talking, sometimes people feel Swamiji is not looking at me. He's looking only at this side, not at this side. This is his favorite student, I am not favorite. Or sometimes when you are communicating something, then somebody feels Swami is targeting me. He's talking about me. Today he talked about me in the class. He's targeting me. So it is possible that a student might have this kind of feeling. The teacher also may feel that, this fellow I think doesn't listen to me. Doesn't seem to obey me. There is a mutual misunderstanding is possible in any relationship. Therefore, this relationship also requires to be nurtured and nourished. The teacher should do that, the disciple also should do that. Both of them conduct themselves in such a manner that this relationship is nurtured and nourished, because a healthy relationship is most important for the communication to take place. On the part of the teacher, that person should be kind and compassionate and caring. For the teacher, in the heart of the teacher, what is most important is the well-being of the student. Because the teacher has no personal agenda, supposedly. The only agenda he has is the well-being of the student. Sometimes a question is asked, why do these teachers teach? Why do the wise people teach? What do I have to gain? Nothing. There is no agenda left. There is nothing to gain. Why do they do that? Simply out of compassion. Guravaha Deenavatsalaha. These teachers are very compassionate towards the people who are in need. Out of compassion he teaches. But it requires a lot of patience, a lot of kindness. You find that sometimes these fellows don't understand. I think that nobody is either, yes, they're listening to me, and what is there? I see no change in that. Like this, sometimes dissatisfaction arises, complaints arises. Now that is no good. What you require is kindness, patience, perseverance. All these qualities are required on the part of the teacher. On the part of the disciple, Shraddha, Bhakti, Dhyana Yoga Devehi. Traditionally, a disciple has Shraddha, an implicit faith in the teacher. Shastrasya Guruvakyasya Satya Buddhyavadharana. The disciple has a faith that what the teacher says is true. Because what the teacher says is in keeping with the scriptures. The teacher has no personal opinion. He is not starting any new kind of a tradition. He communicates what he knows from the scriptures. That's what he communicates. So since we do not have a direct access to the scriptures, teacher is the embodiment of the scripture. He unfolds the statement of scriptures for us. And what's the purpose of that? Is to remove ignorance. What's the nature of ignorance? Ignorance is in the form of variety of misconceptions or misapprehensions or wrong notions, wrong conclusions about the self, about the world, about God, and what is to be done is to remove those misconceptions by unfolding what the reality of what the self is, what the reality of God is, what the reality of the world is. That's why ignorance is removed. But in that process, it is possible that we have to let go of our present conclusions. Then only knowledge can take place by shedding of ignorance. And sometimes that process becomes difficult for the student because sometimes the ego has to be let go. If there is Shraddha and Bhakti for the teacher, then the student can do this without any difficulty. That's how a beautiful process of communication takes place between the teacher and the student. The service to the teacher is for securing the favor of the teacher, the grace of the teacher. The grace of the teacher or Guru Krupa is extremely important. Is considered to be a very important requirement for the knowledge to take place. The one who has supreme devotion for God and equal devotion for the teacher. In the mind of such a person, the words of the scriptures will reveal their meaning. Meaning that to possess a disposition of mind where these words will reveal their meaning, it is important that the disciple should have this Shraddha, an implicit faith in teacher, as well as Bhakti, devotion for the teacher. It is that devotion that manifests itself in the form of service. What is love? Love always manifests in the form of service, form of offering, form of giving. Oh Swamiji, I love you, but I won't do anything for you. No, that doesn't work. When you love somebody, you're always inspired to do something. And you know what to do. You know, because you want to please the other person. And you know what, or you'll discover, or you'll find out what it is that will please them, and then do what will please them. So that's called service. When You do what you do out of devotion with a desire to please the teacher. That is where your joy is. So your joy is in creating the joy for the teacher. In return, you are the beneficiary. You get the grace of the teacher, and this is most required for the knowledge to take place. Therefore, Acharya Upasanam, service to the teacher, is a very important value in the process of pursuit of knowledge. Now today, we will conclude our talk at this time and request our Vijay Kapoorji to make a short presentation about aim for self. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.